You might be wondering why anyone would want to leave the United States, especially someone who's an American. This is something that actually happens more than you think. According to the State Department, more than 9 million Americans are living abroad right now. There are different reasons for Americans moving to other countries. Some of them travel to other countries and fall in love with the place. Some Americans marry foreigners and move to their spouse's country. Some Americans who work for international companies move abroad because of their job, and finally, some Americans were only born in the U.S. and moved out to their parents' country of origin. Here's an overview of the countries that Americans like to move to and the population of Americans that you can find in these countries. So our today's video title is 13 Countries with the Most American Expats. But before starting the video, I want to request you, we put our best efforts to create our every single video, so please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's start. Number 13, New Zealand. A small island nation home to around 4.5 million people located in the Pacific Ocean, New Zealand is famous for its national rugby team, its indigenous Maori culture and its picturesque landscape, and another popular destination country for Americans, and this is because they also offer dual citizenship, in addition to the other benefits that come with living in New Zealand. You don't necessarily need to become a New Zealand citizen before becoming a permanent resident of the country. Today, there are more than 20,000 Americans in New Zealand, which makes up 0.8% of the population of Americans abroad. English is the most widely spoken language in the country, with over 95% of the population using it in their everyday lives. Number 12, Philippines. A collection of around 7,000 islands, the Philippines is known for its extensive forests, beautiful beaches, exotic wildlife, and majestic volcanoes. It is divided into 3 island groups: Luzon, Mindanao, and Visayas. When moving to the Philippines, you won't need to renounce your United States citizenship. There are so many lovely places in the Philippines that foreigners can visit, and in addition, it's one of the most cost-affordable places to live in. From the beaches to the different islands in the country, you can't get bored in the Philippines, which is one reason why Americans love to move to the country. Today, more than 35,000 Americans are in the Philippines, making up 1.3% of the population of Americans abroad. Number 11, Spain. Spain is no doubt one of Europe's top destinations with its stunning Mediterranean beaches, incredible food and drink culture, and lively party atmosphere. Spain is another country where you can live with dual citizenship, but only 27% of the population speak English. The main reason why Americans like to live in Spain is the high quality of life, ease of getting a residence permit, and the fantastic climate of the region. Another interesting thing about Spain is that they also offer digital nomad visas, especially for people who need a place to set up a camp. Today, over 48,000 Americans are living in Spain, which is about 1.8% of the population of Americans abroad. Number 10, Italy. This country is considered the land of culture and offers a beautiful landscape. Also, the cost of living in Italy is relatively affordable, and Americans like to visit to see the different historical monuments. An example is the Colosseum. The country is not English-speaking, but up to 35% of Italians can speak English. There are about 55,000 Americans in Italy, which also makes up about 2% of the population of Americans abroad. This is one of the best countries to go on a foreign tour. The country is known for its mesmerizing topography, pristine beaches, historical artifacts, monuments, and more. Number 9, Japan. Japan is not an English-speaking country, and less than 30% of the population speaks English. However, the language barrier doesn't stop people from moving to Japan. It is considered the land of the rising sun and offers plenty of cultural landmarks, unique dishes, and English support. However, as an American citizen, you should be ready to sacrifice your citizenship if you want to move to Japan. To ascertain the level of difficulty in getting a resident permit in Japan, you may need to check the country's visa guide. Today, there are about 57,000 Americans in Japan, making up 2% of the population of Americans abroad. Number 8, France. From the world-renowned food and wine to the undeniably strong healthcare system, the advantages of living in France are evident. The country's capital is today considered the city of romance. In addition to that, France has many cultural landmarks and great weather that has attracted thousands of Americans for many years now. Even though it's also not an English-speaking country, about 39% of the population speak English, and the country allows dual citizenship. Today, there are about 60,000 Americans in France, making up 2.2% of the population of Americans abroad. Number 7. South Korea. You might be wondering why Americans move to South Korea. The reasons include the fact that they have amazing food and low living costs in South Korea. These are the main factors that attract most U.S. citizens. Another reason is that Koreans are generally friendly to foreigners, and Americans can live in the country with dual citizenship. There are up to 68,000 Americans in South Korea today. This accounts for about 2.5% of the population of Americans abroad. In the 21st century, South Korea has been renowned for its globally influential pop culture, particularly in music, TV dramas, and cinema, a phenomenon referred to as the Korean Wave. Number 6. Israel. Israel is the birthplace of the Jewish culture and encompasses the foundations of many Jewish cultural characteristics, which was also fundamental to the creation of Christianity and Islam. Population statistics in Israel reveal that more than 10% of Israel's population live with dual citizenship, and for Americans, this is not a problem. The country has pleasant weather, a rich history, and a fantastic culture. The population of Americans in Israel is about 80,000, making up 2.8% of Americans abroad. Number 5. Australia. Another country where you can find many Americans is Australia. The primary language that is spoken in the country is English, which is why it's an ideal option for any American who wants to move to another country. With this advantage, you won't need to start learning another language. Another impressive thing to note is Australia's quality of life, which is similar to what's obtained in the United States. American citizens can have dual citizenship while in Australia too. There are currently about 120,000 Americans in Australia, which accounts for 4.2% of Americans abroad. If you want to experience a high quality of life, Australia might be the best foreign country to move to. This country has less air pollution and is much more environmentally conscious, which means living in cities isn't as unhealthy of a choice as it is in America. Number 4. Germany. Germany is known for its freedom and diversity, which offers researchers free and creative development opportunities. The next place Americans like to live in is Germany. Even though the country is not English-speaking, it's worth mentioning that more than 56% of Germans understand English, which is why it's an excellent European destination for English-speaking nomads and expats. You can also have dual citizenship while in Germany. Today, there are about 150,000 Americans in Germany, making up to 5% of the population of Americans abroad. International researchers can enjoy the freedom of travel and choice of residence in Europe, allowing them a high level of mobility. Number 3. United Kingdom. From the cultural diversity to the friendly people and thousands of years of history, there are so many reasons why Americans move to the United Kingdom. One interesting thing is that the United Kingdom is close to other European countries that you can visit during a vacation. You can have dual citizenship in the United Kingdom, and today, there are more than 200,000 Americans in the UK, which accounts for up to 8% of the population of Americans abroad. Number 2. Canada. Canada is often called a melting pot or a mosaic because of the country's culturally diverse population. According to the 2016 census, more than 22% of Canadians are foreign-born, and over 200 different ethnic origins are represented in the country. Canada is another of the most popular countries for American expats, and it lies in the northern part of North America. Americans like to move to Canada because of the stellar quality of life, low crime rates, accessible health. Another thing to note is that as an American, you can get dual citizenship if you move to Canada. Today, about 280,000 American expats are in Canada, making up about 10% of Americans abroad. Number 1. Mexico. Mexico is a historically and culturally rich country that Americans like to move to. In addition, the country has an affordable cost of living, which is a factor that almost everybody looks at. There's always an activity for Americans in Mexico with different attractions and places to visit. However, even though it's a popular destination for Americans, it's worth noting that only about 10% of the country speaks English. You can choose to learn their language if you decide to transition or move to Mexico. Another thing to note is that moving to this country doesn't mean you'll give up your current citizenship. There are about 800,000 Americans in Mexico, which accounts for about 28% of Americans abroad. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.